if you create a product for someone else's community or a cultural relevance. Wow. Wow, I didn't expect that. I expected it a little bit more. No, joking. This is fantastic. So this is my first time OMR, and I'm super hyped to be here today, and also obviously very honored to be here today to tell you a little bit about hype and maybe a bit of my history and also hopefully my successful future. And Steven actually has stolen my thunder because I just told him that this is going to be my first question. So actually I wanted to ask you guys if there's anyone in here who doesn't like sneakers and fashion. So do I see anyone in here? Yeah, over there, like far, far in the back, there are two guys, maybe they don't like sneakers so much. So I want to warn you, the next 20 minutes might be a bit lame for you. So I don't know if you want to grab a drink or so. So for the rest, we talk about sneakers, we talk about streetwear, we talk about fashion, and also obviously hype marketing. What is hype marketing? Before we dive into it, Steven did it already, I want to just briefly introduce myself to all of you guys. I'm also living in Hamburg. My name is Till Jagla. Again, integral part of the sneaker street fashion industry since 2 decades now. Founded 2 companies in the last couple of months and years. And one of them is the very, very first physical sneaker brand that lives on the blockchain. So this is very, very unique worldwide. So there is not a single brand that is similar to ours. On the slide here, you see a few examples what my team has worked on. So the idea was always to create, through storytelling, brand heat to obviously always stay on top of mind for the consumer, right? So whenever the consumer decided to cop a new pair of sneaker or a new hoodie or a new jacket whatsoever, he or she should for sure think about Adidas in that case first, right? So the idea was to invest into collaborations, partnerships, license, to really nail down storytelling. And that is what we have done throughout the last 20 years, the last 12 years with the brand with the 3 stripes. But what is hype? What is hype? You know, I hear that in podcasts, I hear that in the radio, I hear that in like everywhere. I see Netflix series about hype. To be really honest with you guys, no one knows. No one knows because it depends who you ask. If you ask a musician, hype is something different than for a sneakerhead, than for a gamer, than for a dancer. So I think in the end, everyone in here and also everyone who uses the live stream really need to dig into the consumer profile for the respective company or for the respective business and really make sure to identify that word for the own ecosystem, but even more important, for the wider teams. Because I also always say is, if you don't have any clarity, you can have the best plan, but the plan will fail, you know? And that is, I think, also what I want to talk about in the next few minutes. But there's one thing for sure. It can move the global market. Hype can change everything. And again, this is something different in the sneaker industry than in the fashion industry, those two get closer at the moment, than in other industries. Today, we want to concentrate and double down on street culture and sneaker culture in particular. I also have done a bit of consulting here and there in the last couple of months, and there was always like one question. Can I get a laundry list to create hype? can I get a checklist? I just do, and then we create hype. Obviously, this is not possible. But the more I heard the question, the more I tried to think about it. Because I got the question over and over again. I was like, maybe let's rationalize it. Let's make it explainable. Let's make it plannable. And then I went back into my old life and really tried to analyze like all the previous projects we have done, and there I've witnessed, I've seen, I've recognized a pattern. And the pattern most likely is not, something that is subjective, but rather more obviously super objective, right? So that is again something I want to tell you in the next couple of minutes. Normally I would love to talk about that topic forever. Unfortunately, we only have like 20 minutes, so let's speed up a bit. So first rule, what is the first rule? The first rule, don't do it for the sake of it. Never do it for the sake of it, because whatever, there's a sneaker hype, there's a fashion hype, there's a gaming hype, there's an influencer hype. Don't do it for the sake of it. If you run a brand, a company, or have other responsibilities for people, right? Because if you, just want to do it because, again, everyone does it, obviously it will fail. You will burn and waste resources, financial resources, human resources for 6, 12, 18 months or even longer. So better make sure you spend enough time before you kick off the projects to make up your mind what you really want to do. And then ask yourself the question, is that strong enough? Will this make the cut? There's so much happening out there. There's so much noise. Will this cut through the clutter? And if you say, well, it could, then go behind it with full force and try to bring it over the finish line. And you've seen the backdrop of the previous slide, obviously the Adidas Prada collaboration. And there was a very similar collaboration which had way more success, way more success. And if you really put the shoes next to each other, you could say, well, yeah, okay, this is a Jordan, this is a superstar, okay, cool. But in essence, both products have been pretty much the same, pretty much. Obviously, one shoe more for the Adidas guys and one shoe more for the Nike guys. But it wasn't the product. It was the context. The context. So Adidas posted one picture, the picture you've seen previously, and Nike brought Sean fucking Stussy from LA with a speedboat to Miami to Art Basel, had a bloody Nike, Dior, Jordan speedboat bringing Sean Stussy to the beach. Then they brought all the AAA celebrities to Art Basel, Miami, and they did the famous elevator selfie. And then they had the fashion show, and then they asked Travis Scott to leak that product before the people see the content from the catwalk. So what I want to say is, it's not only about product. I'm a product guy, and I know that, if the business is not on point, product is shit. It has to be the product. Product has to be irrelevant, right? Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not the product. So better make sure you don't you're not, or don't be too obsessed by just get the product right. Invest way more energy, way more resource, way more money, way more bandwidth into the plan to make that thing work. I've seen shoes, and there's one in there which sits in that corridor, ugly as hell. But they worked because the story was so good, right? And people buy into something they believe in, into something that makes them smile, into something where people can tell the story to their neighbors, to their homies, to their friends, right? And this is what hype also is all about. I don't know how many people have seen that shoe behind me, the big red boots from Mischief. Mischief is a very, very new brand from the United States of America, from New York City to be exact, founded by 3 awesome guys. They have done, or they created that brand that is a bit more provocative. After having a few legal cases in America, they have done this shoe. This shoe is inspired by Astro Boy. Astro Boy is a holy grail for collectors in regards to vinyl toys. We see a shoe here people made fun of. Like 90% of the people who approached me in regards to that topic laughed at it. They made fun of it. This is so ugly, you can't wear those, this is a fucking joke, whatsoever. I think it was genius. It was genius. Because they brought like the entire internet to their brand to talk about their brand. They grew, I think, like 8 million followers just due to this product, right? In the end, no one gives a fuck how many pairs they have sold. There's no difference between 300 pairs and 3,000. There's no business difference, right? But what they understood is, let's be so provocative, so disruptive, that the entire world is talking about you. And then out of a sudden, everyone wants to have those shoes. Now you see wrestling stars in the ring with those boots. You see top models in those boots. You see basketball players in the tunnel in those boots. You see funny videos with those boots. But that is what I want to bring across today. Try to really double down on things you do and then really ask yourself the question, is that really good enough? What is the strategic objective? If the strategic objective is make ourselves known around the world, this is fantastic. The objective wasn't to sell as many big red boots as possible, for sure not. Also, throughout the last years, a lot of people again ask me, hey, how can we go about it? What should we do? How should we do it? I have a few references I want to talk you through in a second, but I also want to underline the fact, because there are a lot of corporations in here with like hundreds of employees. You cannot go to your employee and say, build up hype, then leave the meeting room. You as a leader, you as a business owner, you need to make sure that the structure follows the strategy and not other way around. So better make sure you have a dedicated team that knows their shit inside out, that knows something or how energy marketing, how disruptive marketing work, and then create them a space, give them money, and trust them, right? So you can't go to someone who's overworked already and say, please take that over as well. So the very first route, how you can approach it, and that is, I think the shoe I referred back to previously, the problem solver. This is a BVG sneaker, ex Attendees, so I think a quite famous collaboration we have done a few years back. I don't want to talk about the shoe so much because I'm not super proud of it. However, the idea was simple. Everyone, hopefully no one is in the room today, let's put it that way. The BVG is not the most charming and liked association in Berlin, right? Because ticket prices are expensive and the people don't pay, so then they get caught, they need to pay more whatsoever. However, we said, well, let's create a shoe with a ticket on and you can ride the public transportations for a year, which sums up to 750 euro for the annual ticket. The shoe was 180, we put the ticket on the shoe, sold the shoe for 180. Of course it worked. Of course it worked, because we were giving away 750 euros. Of course it worked. However, no one questioned that. Everyone liked it. Everyone was like, okay, that's cool. I want to have a pair. And that project created a media value of 32 million US dollars, which is quite impressive with a 10,000 euro investment. Then another one, and I stopped then with those old ones. But then another one was Arizona iced tea. So another route how you can go about it is the surprise drop or the surprise. So do something no one else in the world would ever do. Then it feels good. So it needs to feel uncomfortable to make a difference. If you do something everyone does in here, of course it won't work, of course. But if you are the one who has a different thinking and tries to change it a bit and shakes it up a bit, of course it will work, right? So make sure you really, or you don't follow the masses. I think sometimes it's the right thing to do. Sometimes, in particular, in regards to hype, it's the wrong thing to do. So that is the shoe I was talking about, Arizona iced tea, a legendary iced tea brand from also New York City, by the way, who is very famous since 1992 for the cherry blossom artworks on the can. The reason why Americans love that brand so much is that this is the only US-American brand that never increased the price since the founding. So since 1992, the can Arizona iced tea is 99 cents. It will never ever change in the future. That was the concept. So we said, okay, if they say this is a great buy, let's do the greater buy and sell a shoe for 99 cents that looks like a can. So super successful. Obviously, again, in here, a lot of people work in corporations. We all know that also in corporations, you only have supporters. Sometimes, there's envy, there's rivalries whatsoever. Also, in that case, and many people came back and said, well, great, but it was 99 cents. Of course it worked. So you gave away shoes. And then we said as a team, okay, cool, yeah, I get it. Then we create the most expensive shoe ever. So we have created the most expensive shoe ever together with Meissen porcelain, from Meissen, obviously. That shoe you see behind me is a shoe out of porcelain, partially leather, partially porcelain, that was hand-painted for 7 months by 5 educated painters from the Meissen factory. And we put it on a Sotheby's auction, also in New York City, and it got bought for 126,000 US dollars. So try also, and I don't want to talk about those shoes too much, and there's also what I want to align. Don't try to copy that or whatever, right? Follow that. Try to think about it. Try to implement it into your mindset, into the way you work, into the way you think. Try to unlearn the bullshit we have learned in the 80s and try to learn the new thing, the disruptive thing, the things that make a meaningful impact. Another one is the community hack. I think this is almost founded, it feels, by Instagram or Meta. So obviously those collaborations between influencers or Instagrammers. However, it also works in our industry. So it's always super interesting if you create a product for someone else's community or a cultural relevance. The shoe behind me is the Lego shoe we have done within Adidas. Just that shoe, because we knew that Lego has roughly 50 million collectors worldwide. We knew we can do pretty much everything, it will fly. So we did this shoe. We had subscriptions. I think close to 3 million people wanted to have that shoe. Unfortunately, we haven't had 3 million people, 3 million pairs. However, it was a massive success. Another one was that one. So we created a shoe with the Simpsons, not with the Simpsons. And we also, again, never just slapped the logo on a shoe and said it's a collaboration. I would never ever do that in my life. So we always try to double tap on it. Go the extra mile, create a beautiful product, a beautiful concept, and then put it on drugs. Then make it crazy, right? And that is what we have done here together with Krusty Burger. As a thank you, I've been embedded into the Simpsons movie, which was quite cool. Again, this one, massive, huge success, pair-wise, also PR-wise. Yeah, that was also interesting. Another one, just recently we have celebrated the World Wheat Day, the 420. I also celebrated the day, a bit longer than a day. However, we have created a shoe together with South Park. South Park obviously is also known for pop culture, for youth culture. There is this character, Tauli, the kids always bring to the friends when they smoke weed in the Kinderzimmer. and Tauli, they put always like in front of the door gap that the smell doesn't reach the parents. So this is a story about Tauli. We put Tauli material on a shoe, gave the shoe the red eyes. Massive success, massive success. Furthermore, there's one which is interesting, and we see that currently happening in the market, the antidote. So if there's a hype, that's great. But if somewhere hype is happening, somewhere else, the counter trend is happening. Because not everyone wants to, do this hype thing. The really cool guys, they want to do the new thing, right? So this is how New Balance got so famous throughout the last couple of years. This is why people now start to wear the Samba again. Or, no, so Samba is now turning into hype. It used to be cool before, so it's not anti-hype any longer. And then obviously this one is fantastic. It's just a perfect example. The Dior Boston from Birkenstock. Another one, and now I need to speed up a bit, is the best of both worlds. I want to give Ronnie some credits. Ronnie is over there in the conference on the conference stage. He has a very, very nice spin on storytelling. So if you don't know him, better make sure you check him out. Fantastic character and also fantastic storyteller. Everything you have seen so far obviously was happening in the physical world, in the Web 2 world, almost a bit in the past. But what happens in the future? So what does hype mean in the future? And I would say future is hype. Future is hype. You see it on the picture, the artifact, Takashi Murakami Air Force One together with Nike. Interesting story because Artifact started as three guys started to do digital collectibles 3 years or 3.5 years ago. In the first year, no one took them serious. Second year, oh, there's something bubbling. Third year, Nike acquired them for $1.3 billion and brought them into the brand to crack the code of Web 3. Web 3 is an interesting ecosystem because it doesn't take anything away from Web 2. Don't be afraid. It just adds something very beautiful to your brand experience, something you have never seen before, a great community-based idea, right? And this is what we bring to the table. This is Flowers for Society. Flowers for Society is the very, very first phygital brand, so the fusion between digital and physical to excite, obviously, the sneakerheads out there, the tech heads out there, but also the people who are really into art. So we try to bring all the big clusters together, create a sneaker brand around, and this is, again, what we want to do, or what we will do in the next couple of years. Again, phygital natives, the hybrid thinking speeds up the process. It makes sure that everything is cleaner, leaner, and also faster. So we create a shoe, like we as a bloody startup, we created a totally new shoe within 7 months with everything. And bigger brands, they need 12, 16, 18 months to do that. So we are super fast. Why? Because we start digitally. So everything we do starts digitally. That means everything we do is content. We try to cut out the entire inefficiency and do that because we really want to shake up a very outdated industry. Thanks for listening. It was a pleasure. Hopefully you had fun. Hopefully you had joy. I wish you a fantastic day. Enjoy the rest of the show. I'm out. Bye-bye.